All the tribe. So today's gonna be a vlog. I've been sitting with this newfound awareness on shame, and if you've watched my videos before, you know that I believe that shame, guilt, and blame are what I call like the devil's waters, right? They want us, and I use all that stuff kind of loosely, like it's just an energy, right? It's just an energy. Yet denser vibrations wish for us to participate in those vibrations, storylines, topics, whatever you want to call them, because it keeps us in a loop. It keeps us in a perpetual loop that we don't get out of. And so, I've had this old story appear, and I just find life to be those serendipitous moments where I'm processing information and a song comes on, and the song referred to someone having poked their shame, and it really hit home for me. The song already resonates so deeply with my spirit as already. So when it spoke of this person or this being feeling like their partner, this being that they loved, constantly kept poking at their shame, oh gosh, that's so interesting to me, because it really resonated with what I was processing of with this person. So I said, wow, I wonder if that's their perception, that they thought that's what I was doing. They thought that me engaging with them was poking at their shame. And I find it so funny because it was me showing them that they were experiencing shame and then trying to show them how to get the path away. Like, I don't understand why you're living in this place of shame. You shouldn't be holding shame around this subject. There's nothing to hold shame around. I don't see you in that light. And if it was against me, I forgive you. And it's more of, you're living in that loop of shame, and I wish for you to be free of it. And so the serendipity of having this, old storyline appear and then hearing that song. And so it was just this eye-opening experience of, wow, I bet you that's what they were thinking or that they were experiencing. So I sat in it and I realized that source, creator energy, God, whatever you want to call it, will not remove your shame when you're having those experiences. Hold on one second. Sorry, I had to move a kitty. All right, so when you're having those experiences and you go to, we'll say God, okay, just for generic terms, when you speak to God and say you're having this shameful experience, God doesn't remove the shame. It's interesting. God doesn't say, I'm going to remove that shame from you. God holds a space for you to process your shame. However, it's kind of like a cul-de-sac. You can keep going back and back and back. And when you do, usually what's happening is you're paying a level of homage to the Creator for holding a space for you in your place of wound. And so you're feeding the Creator energy, and the Creator is just holding that container for you to process your shame. However, you can just keep owning that shame. And the Creator is not going to stop you from owning that shame, because it's free will, right? But two, in order for the system, the matrix that was created to continually function, it needs your essence of energy. It needs your emotions and essence. And what it really needs is you to keep feeding source, right? It needs you to keep feeding source on some level, whether it be through positive or negative, it doesn't matter. You're still feeding source. Either you're feeding source through, gratitude or through begging. You know what I mean? Like, either way, you're still feeding source energy. Not everyone does. There are a lot of beings out there that don't even feed source on any level, and they still live their lives. But those that live in this place within those confines of obeying of the Creator, we usually pick one of those two paths. And I find it really, really interesting because that's a safety net. It's a safety net to keep running back to Creator as if they're healing it, when it just keeps you in this perpetual loop. And so I've been witnessing it in numerous friends that I have, and they're all male friends actually, which is really interesting, that instead of them growing outside of their pain or their shame areas, they go back into this perpetual loop, and then, like, how can I say? They project, and they try to, like, they speak as if they're above something rather than in the actual experience, you know? And I get that. It's these excuses that we have too, you know? I do it like this because of that, or, you know, I get it. I am just as guilty as everyone else, right? But it was really interesting to witness how people are showing up in their shame, and that we go back into this like cul-de-sac of energy, expecting it to go away. And I'm so grateful because as I'm communicating, I can feel my cul-de-sac of shit, right? My like cul-de-sac of shame that still exists, that I'm constantly working through, and what keeps me in my perpetual loop of, we'll say, downtrodden, you know what I mean, of not moving forward in my life in the ways I want to, because I feel like I'm supposed to appear or show up in a certain manner or way for other people, not even myself. I'm constantly in this weird fear of doing harm to someone else if I show up in a way that isn't conducive to their needs, wants, or desires. And that's kind of falling away. I say falling away. I'm removing myself from being within the confines of other people's perceptions of who I need to be in order to be within their energy field. Because I don't believe we need to. I wish to love people unconditionally inside their energy field, within their energy field, all beings, without needing to force ourselves to be other than who we are. And even in that place of like shame, you know, I had a conversation with a friend this evening, and I made a comment of working with like what was going on in their structural body and had the doctors help them. And they listed off like, no, not sure how it's going to work out. And then, but they kind of made sure I knew that it was clearly not what I said it was. And then they proceeded to say it was exactly what I said it was. And that was and I was like, oh, I was like, that's what I said it is. I said, you know, it's the bicep tendon. And I said, the reason that you're having those issues is your bicep tendon. And he says, no, it has nothing to do with that, but it has to do with this spot right here and the thing that's threading through here that goes down the arm. And I went, yeah, that's your bicep tendon. And the second I said that, they shut down and they gasped for air. And I said, I'm frustrating you. And they said, yeah, you do. You frustrate me. I went, oh, okay. I said, you do whatever you want. I was checking in to see if you've gotten the help you needed. And make the choice that keeps you safe. You know, that's what humanity, we typically do. We make choices that keep ourselves safe. We take risks now and again. And if those risks don't seem to pan out, we go back to our safe zones, right? And I just, knowing this person the way I do, I knew that they have a fear of being seen as unintelligent. And it's unfortunate because I don't believe they're unintelligent at all. I believe they're an extremely intelligent human being. However, when they show up from those places of not seeing the other person's intelligence. When you show up and don't acknowledge that the other person has a level of intelligence in that moment, you yourself look unintelligent, in my opinion. That's just how that kind of works. You're reflecting back that you yourself don't feel intelligent, which really is their pool, their cul-de-sac of shame that they're sitting in. And because I poked at their cul-de-sac of shame, I'm now the enemy, right? Instead of, I wonder how we can get out of that cul-de-sac. And I tried to open up the communication lines, and I said, oh, well, how did I approach it? I said, excuse me, that I respect their craft. I said, I respect your level of intelligence within your craft. And they kind of was like, they acknowledged, like, yeah, well, you should. Okay. And I was just going to say, well, it'd be nice that you respected me and my craft. I've been doing it for 20 years now, but I didn't even get to that point. It was one of those, is keeping them at their pedestal instead of realizing that I had the right to sit in my chair of knowledge as well, right? It's unfortunate that that's the cul-de-sac they went back to, and that's where they felt safest. That's where they felt safest. And because I poked at a wound, they went right back to their comfort zone instead of meeting it and trying to find the pathway out. And draining that cul-de-sac, draining that pond of energy that no longer serves them. And I think we all do that. I mean, I'm for sure I know I do it. But it's something I've really been sitting with, that, and I've said it before, when we give someone love and it's on an open wound, it stings, it hurts, and so we often blame the person who put the salve on the wound rather than the wound itself, that the wound is what hurt us, that we feel unintelligent, we feel lack of ability, we feel fear, we feel anxiety, you know what I mean? Instead of acknowledging what our weaknesses are, we tend to try to override or bypass them by trying, trump over them somehow, and that just puts us back into that pool of shame. That level of ego just puts us right back into where our weakness of shame is. And I get that that's something I think that we really need to look at as a society, because it's keeping us from ever achieving our goals. And I don't mean to be rude. However, the Creator doesn't give a shit if you achieve your goals. The Creator does care that you energetically keep feeding the system. It's fucking crazy. And I mean, as you guys know, I've been going through this huge, if you've been watching any of my videos, I've gone through a huge shift of my love with the Creator, and I love the Creator, yet I've kind of lost a level of, not so much lost, how can I say this? It's like I've peeked through the veil so much that I see where all the details are, I've really searched out truth and can see where so much corruption and manipulation within the system have become, and it's all feed for, God the devil at the same time, right? God and the devil are one. And if you watched my other video on that, and Christ and the Antichrist are one, and the Madonna and the whore are one, it's just a shadow of the other, right? Either way, they're getting feed, they're getting energy. It's an interesting concept to look through. So, I'm just so emotionally drained by the experience at this point in time. I feel like I've gone so far down the rabbit hole in witnessing all these things that the only pathway out might be that of Taoism, right? Just the path itself, following the path to which brings you the most joy and fulfillment. I have been seeking truth. As I would like to say, kind of like freeing people, freeing souls from where, corruption was within the energetic system. And it's so funny, I can honestly say that those that I wanted to reap those that my intention were to reap the rewards, appear to have reaped the rewards, but had no gratitude towards me for having done the work to support their path. Yet those that inadvertently gained access and reward from it have so much gratitude. So it's really, really bittersweet to know that the ones that I did the work for, I am included in that, yet the ones that I really wanted to see my efforts, I don't think they see them. They don't show up as if they do. On more than one occasion, they've kind of told me I was a piece of shit. So, or if I didn't receive the love that they gave me exactly the way they wanted to give it to me, I wasn't, again, I'm a piece of shit. Excuse me. So, I think it goes into that whole shame loop that because I went in to discover truths, it poked their wounds. And wounds they didn't want me to see. Yet if they were carrying it, so many others were carrying it too. That's the way I looked at it. Like, I will allow myself to accept the fact that they don't see how much work I did, because I know that other people have benefited because they've actually come to me and communicated that to me in different ways and in different levels, or have said something about how their lives have changed because of X, Y, and Z. And I know it has, for me, like I've done all that work based off of X, Y, and Z, so I know that which I'm doing is of benefit. But again, those that I wish to, I guess, proven my love to, like let them know that I've been there the whole entire time, loving them and supporting them, don't see it like that. So I'm finding peace around that. I say that, I'm working towards peace and acceptance around that. Yeah. And I'm really getting into this place of we all love so differently. And one person's version of love is not how other people would see it, right? So, excuse me, let me give you an example. So there's the property I'm on, the house I rent, is on the market. And so it's being shown. And a couple weeks ago, it was under contract, and now it's no longer. Typical, right? Totally normal. And so just as an inconvenience of having to be available to have them show the house, And of course they don't care if I'm here, but I do. So just the inconvenience of them having to show the house, this, that, and the other. Well, I have a property manager, and then there's a person that's within the same umbrella of the property management that is the one who's trying to show the house and sell the house. And I think he's kind of new to the whole game. Very kind soul, very kind soul. However, their perception is quite funny to me. So I've invested 5 years at this property, and I've done a lot of work to upgrade it in different ways, lots and lots of work, and a lot of which, like we'll say, to the yard. And I had a whole garden out there, and I didn't keep it up this last year. I was working crazy, and I just didn't keep it. I didn't upkeep it. No big deal, right? But it still was a beautiful garden that I had and created out there, and they were during the time of it being under contract. We had the inspection coming through. So with the inspection coming through, they decided to do some yard cleanup. And excuse me. So the beginning of the day, there was the property manager, and then when I was leaving to go to work, it was the other person who was doing the selling of the house, that gentleman I spoke of. And so when I came home that night, my whole garden had been torn down. Everything that I had invested years of my life into was just boxed up, put to the side kind of thing. And I literally, like, that whole entire garden was like gridded with crystals and all different stuff, you know what I mean? Like, so no matter how messy or overgrown it may have appeared to them, it still was my garden, and I'm still under lease and contract here for like months. I still have like until spring before I even have to like, spring? Yeah, till like even before I have to move. So for them to have gone through and torn up my shit, it was a big deal. And when I confronted them about it, they tried to bypass me and tell me that, oh, they did me a favor. And I said, no. And I said, you had no right to do that. And then they tried to blame somebody else. They tried to blame the property manager for having done it. And I said, don't you worry, they'll get my wrath too. And I said, but you're the last person I saw here, so I get to speak to you first about it. And I said, you had no right. And then they tried to tell me that, they tried to dance around it and say it was all these reasons beyond what it was. And I said, it was this. I said, this was on the line for you. I said, you were concerned about the inspection. I said, and that was your only focus. And I said, you didn't have to do this for the inspection. I said, but you wanted to put up a show. I said, so this became more easy for you. And he tried to dodge, and he finally went, I'm sorry. And he finally acknowledged that I was following that path of information. And so then recently they were showing the place again, and he made a comment of like, it'll just be, once it's under contract again, this will all be so much easier for you. It'll all just go away. It'll be easier for you. I said, whatever you believe to be true. And he kind of laughed, and he was like, whatever I believe to be true. Both times made me realize that this person's perception and lens to which they look through is so limited that they feel powerless in their life, that they believe that everyone should feel that level of powerlessness. And that's how they show up and treat people. Versus realize and meet people on the level to which they are. Doesn't matter, contract, no contract, if this place is under that, it's still, now I have to look for a place to live and move and all those things. So showing the house, not showing the house, doesn't matter. Contract, no contract, doesn't matter. It's an inconvenience to my life. For them to not be able to look through the lens of truth and meet a human being where they are, it tells me that they've been beaten down so much that they've been treated with lack of integrity and lack of power, as if their power had been taken away from them. That's disheartening to me. And so I say this, I know I had another reasoning for it, yet everything is this level of like, which lens of perception are you looking through? How much depth can you hold and contain? Or are you limited through these like, this tiny little portal of energy that is bullshit to the rest of the world? Like, at the end of the day, his portal of energy has to do with the bottom line of money, and he doesn't see it. At the end of the day, this other person that I was speaking to, their fear of being seen as unintelligent keeps them in these other loops, right? I can say the same for myself. My fear of, not being enough not doing enough has only kept me in a loop that makes me look what I feel like is unsuccessful in what I do. I know what I bring to the table as far as my work, so I don't question that. What I do question is getting it out there more. That means a lot to me. Yet I don't question my worth based off of what I know or don't know. And it's not as if I haven't on my journey. I definitely have. When you don't have an audience to feed or clients to nourish, you question your worth on that. I've gone through that. And I had to regain footing into seeing that I actually hold value and worth in what I do. It was such a powerful reemergence of who I am. And now it's about working on building that so others can have that data and information, because it's powerful. What I know is powerful, and how to help people heal is powerful. So I guess this vlog is really about getting ourselves out of those places of shame. Realizing that when we feel shameful for who we are, if we go back to our blanket, our little soft, comfy space of God, right? If that's what you believe in, if you draw back and allow yourself to fall into their arms and think that you're ever going to get out of the shame loop, I think you're wrong. I think I'm wrong in believing that for a second. I believe that meeting my shame for what it is, calling it out, acknowledging that, I'm experiencing shame right now for not having done enough, or, my current situation, right? Not really liking my current situation. So instead of leaning back and thinking this comforter blanket, whatever it is going to help me get out of it, they're not. Can I meet the shame head on? Woo! Talk about synchronicity. Can I meet the shame head on and have that conversation with it, is what I was going to say. I don't know if you could hear that, but it was I don't even think there's a train close by. That was sounded like a train going by as I said that. That was crazy. So can I meet that storyline of shame head on and not look for comfort in it? I think that's the first. To not look to seek comfort when I feel shame. To lean into it and have the conversation. There's so much more to that I just have not fully discovered yet. Because I see how it keeps us in that loop, right? And then why? Why do I feel shameful around that? Where did that get rooted into? Because I know for a fact that when you go to the root of any situation, that's where you can cure it. You think that we can cure it from beliefs and stuff, but it's the root of the problem that you always want to get to. So meeting it and then getting to the root of why, and I know for myself is most of my shame is the fear of letting people down. And at this stage of my life, I think the person I've let down the most is me. I keep seeking some level of approval from these outside energies that just keep telling me I'm more of a piece of shit because I didn't show up the way they needed me to. Which I guess is more of blanketing their shame, right? I don't want my shame to be blanketed. I want to rip it off. I don't want to keep feeding a system that isn't nourishing me back and keeping me in loops that, never let me feel like I've actually obtained the balance of what I'm investing, right? So I guess the real piece of this is, how do we engage with others when they're in a place of shame? When they're in their own egoic shame of not being able to see themselves and like trying to overprove themselves, or think they're above. They think they're above. Right? You know, it's funny, I've noticed it in a bunch of people recently, like in the last few years, but because my journey has really hit this like questioning source so much, I think it's funny that those that like how much they pride themselves on being good, godly human being. Like they stand at this place of like, you know, because I have God on my side. And then I have to go look back and I go, wow, I think I was one of them. I wonder if I was. I think I was. Maybe I was. Maybe I was. I don't know. But I don't think we should ever think that we're bigger than other people. But I knew I could feel like I still know I can fearlessly walk into storms, you know? What's sad is how well I do with chaos. I think the ultimate question is how well I do with peace. That's a question. That's a really good question. I'll tell you in the last few weeks, it's like I've been disconnecting from anyone who's plugged into my soul over, I don't even know how many freaking lifetimes, right? I was plugged in through like soul unions or things like that. And I'm shedding them and letting them all go. And it's so painful. Because I don't want to. But I know it's part of my path. I have this deep-rooted belief that I wonder if people know how to show up when obligation is not on the line. They're not obligated to show up. I want to know if they invest without obligation. Because we should never feel obligated to love another person. But can you love them because you want to invest in them? To me, that's the most powerful love that you can ever experience. And that's how I wish to love all beings, to show up for them without being obligated to. Without feeling like I have to. I don't know what that's like. And I've done everything to get to this place. We'll see. We'll see, right? Yeah. But I don't want to have to carry any more of those burdens of like shame and guilt of thinking I did something, excuse me, horribly wrong somehow. And I simply just wanted to love all of my broken pieces. I wanted all the others, I wanted everyone else to love their broken pieces. And I kept breaking myself to help them. I kept breaking me so that they could feel more loved. And none of it was appreciated. So now it's time for me to put myself back together again. Yeah. So that's my current state of ignorance, my current state of awareness, right? Yeah. Working on getting out of that loop and discovering how to be on the path without feeling obligated. You know, I know that I will always hold prayer and love for the Creator, for God, for Jesus, for all of it, for Buddha, you know, but I think these days I'm finding more respect for the Buddha than any other. I have a dear friend that I respect their perceptions as well. They're a very good friend. They're themselves and their own Buddha, their own style of a Buddha. Yet really gaining greater understanding of what that is without attaching titles that just feed an energy that is unnecessary, you know? It's unnecessary to feed it. It is already grand in itself, right? So, yeah. Yeah. Well, that was my rant. I have a lot to process. I hope that helps somebody out there. Maybe there was a nugget or two of goodness. If you like my rants, if you like my readings, if you like the functional therapy that I do and breath work, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, as well as my TikTok is going to start having more stuff on it too. And if you need a session for anything, give me a call, give me a message, and do all sorts of good jazz, right? So, all right, peace out, y'all. Peace out, tribe.